In this question, we've got to find this length on the right-angled triangle. The first thing to do is to label the sides with the words hyp, op and adj. And I suggest you work through them in that order. Hyp, op and adj. Hypotenuse, opposite and adjacent. The hypotenuse is the longest side. It's always the one opposite the right angle. Here's your right angle. This is the one opposite it. It is the longest side. That is your hypotenuse. Opposite is the side opposite the other angle. Here's the angle. This side is opposite it. The last one is the adjacent. Well, it must be this one up here. And as a check, the adjacent should always be between your angle and your right angle. So if we look at your labelling, two of the words I've just written had something already written on those sides. Opposite already had X written there. I will circle opposite. And up here, adjacent had 17 written next to it. I will circle adjacent. I won't circle hyp. There's nothing written on that side. So in this question, I will be using these two sides. And you now need to refer back to SOHCAHTOA, however you remember that, to find out which side, which formula you're going to use, sin, cos or tan. So we have got a word starting with A and a word starting with O. So we need to look for a set of three letters, they break into three sets, where there's an A word and an O word together. That's over here, an A and an O, in TOA. That's what we're going to be using. Now that T stands for tan, the O for opposite, and the A for adjacent. So it's best to write those down. Next thing I would do is to write down a small formula triangle, just using those three letters, TOA. The order always goes left, top, right. T, O, A. Then I do a bigger version of that, a working out version, where we're going to write some words and numbers. The T stands for tan. I will write that in here. T1 stands for tan, and the angle always goes in this bottom left space as well. The angle in this question was 50 degrees, so I will put 50 down here. The O stood for opposite, and in my triangle, the opposite has an X written on it. So the O opposite will have an X on it, and that will go here. The A stood for adjacent. The adjacent side had 17 on it. So down here, instead of the A, I will put a 17. If you've got a number in both of these spaces, we need to times these two things together. So I need to do tan of 50 times by 17. So on your scientific calculator, make sure it's got a D up here. If it's got something different, you'll get it wrong. And if you want to change it, you can go into mode, and when you see deg there, that's what you want, just press 1 and then it'll be okay. So here, I'm typing in tan of 50 times by 17. Calculator showing me 20.2598. Rather than write all of that down, 20.2598, in an exam you just need to do it with three significant figures. So it'll be 20 point, there won't be 2 because it's a 5 after it. Remember, if a 5 or more comes next, we round up. So it'll be 20.3, and that'll be in centimetres, as the other measurement we started with in the question, that was also in centimetres. So don't forget your units, and that will be 20.3 centimetres, and that question is now finished.